Friendships were an integral part of many of our childhood, but I dare say that we need them now as adults more than we did as children. However, it will require from us intentionality and a bunch of other things. Hi, hello, welcome back to Salt and Night Diaries podcast. My name is TheAngelOti and I'm your host here on this podcast. This is a space for young people who are navigating everyday struggles. I want to hear real talk on issues regarding faith, life, and everything in between. I'll be giving my own perspective as a young Christian. Thank you so much for all the love. Thank you for listening to each episode. Please don't forget to, follow this podcast on Spotify and wherever you listen to these episodes, right? Today I'll be talking about something that I think that if you wake me up in the middle of the night, I can talk about. You know when they say, what's the one thing that you can talk about without thinking? That's what I'm going to be talking about today. And I'm going to be talking about friendships. I know that some of us wanted to be adults very early on because we didn't want to have to live with our parents and follow their directions. And, you wanted your own money to do all the things you wanted to do. But upon landing here, I think that it is like the evil forest in Nollywood movies. Yes, there is a road, but how are you going to find that road? After blood, sweat, and tears. And it feels like adulting is like that, where nobody knows what they're doing or how well to get to where they want to go to. Now imagine doing all of these things alone. Imagine doing this thing by yourself, right? It's going to be difficult. It's going to be very, very difficult to manage. I say one thing often, that my friends are the loves of my life. And I mean that with every fiber of my being. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have the friends that I have today. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have the people that hold me and I can hold as well to say, hey, this is what's going on. Pray with me, or I laugh with them and I talk to them and I shop for them equally as much as they shop for me. I think that romantic relationships are great. Everybody's marrying. Last marry is a fool, God forbid. But as great as they are, they will never replace friendships. In the last episode where I talked about church community, one of the reasons why you're going to enjoy your church community is that you make friends with people in your local church. See, friendships are God's idea. There's nothing about it. We see examples all through scriptures about how friendship was. Some people have come out to say some crazy things just because of how these Bible characters were friends. We see the example of David and Jonathan, very commonly used to express how, men can be friends and people can be friends without needing anything from each other, even when there is a disparity in societal status. And I think that that's something that all of us need to understand. However, adult friendships require active effort. When we were children, it was easier to be friends with people because you were in class with them, they played ball with you, they attended your church, they lived in your neighborhood. It was very low effort, nothing too strenuous, right? But then there's a reason why there's this adage that says 20 children cannot play together for 20 years. It's not that it's impossible, but it's that for 20 children to play together for 20 years, it requires a lot of work that sadly not many people are willing to do. And whatever you take from today's episode, I want you to take a lot of things, but know that the friendships you enjoy are directly proportional to the effort that you put in. I've been seeing certain TikToks about people saying things like, oh, I'm just getting back from work, but I'm going to my friend's bachelorette or my friend's birthday party because I want a village. And that's what I'm going to say. You cannot desire a village without wanting to be a villager. You like it's and I'm saying this, I think this is specific for someone listening to me might need this. You cannot desire a village without wanting to be a villager. For you to want people to show up for you, you're going to show up for people. For you to want to reap the dividend of good friendship, it means that you yourself, you're willing and interested in being a good friend and putting in the work. There's been some discourse on Twitter. Sadly, Twitter is my favorite, or should I say, most commonly used social media platform. And I say sadly because there are a bunch of interesting people on there. And a few months back, people were saying all sorts about how they are not going to pick their friends up from the airport. They're not going to do certain things. And I find that very interesting. I remember a conversation I was having with my friend not too long ago. And he said, some of the best moments you enjoy in friendships are not captured. And that's something that really stuck with me. Imagine you're going to help a friend move houses, right? You're going to help them clean, arrange stuff and all of that. In that moment, except if you're an active content creator, you are not thinking about making videos and, taking pictures, especially when your hands are full, right? But in those moments, you have some of the best laughters, best jokes made, the best memories made. And those things are not Instagrammable. But then you realize that you only got those memories because of the active service and effort you were putting into that friendship at the time. I'm aware that adulting makes it much more difficult to make friends. I, for one, have lived that. I didn't have friends in my earlier 20s, the way that I have them now. I didn't enjoy relationships in the way that I enjoy them now. And so I'm just going to be giving you a couple of tips for making friends as an adult, right? So just so you know, you're going to work to get friendships. And I know that, yes, friendships are supposed to be lighthearted. You're not supposed to work. You're not supposed to labor. Some work will need to be done, right? But then friendships are not supposed to be harder than they should be. And this is something that I'm going to talk about later on. But the first thing I'm going to say is utilize your interest groups. See, there are so many things that you're a part of as an adult and that you can use to get quality friendships from. Your church. You attend a local church, I think. I would hope that you attend a church or your church has an online community, even if you are not actively, maybe you're in a city where your church doesn't have a campus or a branch, but then you're connected to the online community. That's a great place to start from. You can find friends from these places. Work. Someone was saying that, you're supposed to find friends where you spend the most time. And most of us spend most of our time at work. If you don't work physically, this might be harder than those people that go to physical offices to work from. But if you work from a physical office, which many places are doing now that COVID has sort of like simmered down, a great place to find friendships would be with your colleagues at work. I would advise you to be careful. I am a big believer of keeping relationships separate. I believe in compartmentalizing so much that this is not something that I have really, really, really found to work for me. However, I think of one of my very good friends right now, and then he's someone that I became friends with from my internship days. Yeah, and our friendship has lasted the test of time and it's been amazing. So I can assure you that you might not get a lot of friends from work, but one or two friends, enough. And you don't really need a lot of friends, for being honest. Online, a lot of us are spending time on the internet. I advise you to be careful. Remember, We talked about it during the social media episode, where it's like you have to be careful with how you put your information online. But you can make friends with people that you meet online in comment sections, on the TL, things like this, I don't have experience with dating apps, but I know that a lot, a lot of debauchery goes on there. But um, some friendships can still be found there. Make do with what you have. When you attend conferences or conventions or programs, talk to the person beside you. Try to spark conversations, and honestly, just make a step. Like a little drop of water counts overall. Like it does something to you. If you have hobbies, if you have things that you're interested in, maybe you're someone who likes to sing or likes to paint, you can find other people that share the same interest that you have. Maybe it's dancing. And then from there, there's like, see, I think that what friendship needs to start is a common ground. And so that's why I'm emphasizing on interest groups. In these places, you have a common ground already where it's easy for you to say, oh, you're a Christian, I'm a Christian. Oh, you're in the same church. All right, but and then from there, you start talking to these people. You work in the same office, you come to work every day. Please don't gossip, but please don't gossip at work. But then it's easier to find things that maybe things that are peculiar to your industry that this person might enjoy. And then from there, you just start conversations. You cannot get things in these days, without putting yourself out there. I know that a lot of times we think of it in terms of career advancement, but you are going to need to put yourself out there. You can't say people don't know you and you don't post pictures on your Instagram or any other social media platform that you are on. People are not going to engage with someone that they don't know. When someone posts something, comment on their posts, right? I've seen some maybe big social media accounts talk about how they met some of their friends, and then it's like, oh, this person will they'll share my stuff, they would repost this, they would comment on it, and every time I notice them, and that's how we entered the DMs, and we became friends in real life. Volunteer, join things, NGOs, valuable causes, and be a part of these things. And in the course of service, you find out that you meet people along the way that could very well become your friends. Join book clubs, whether it's an online book club, whether it's a physical book club. Just do things that, make it easier for you to find friends. This one I want to talk about is something that a lot of us struggle with, and I understand. Vulnerability. We have to learn to be vulnerable. By vulnerable, I don't mean share private information about your life. Please, be vulnerable with sense. But for you to enjoy deep-seated friendships that will last the test of time, many times you have to, go deeper. Not have you eat, have you pull, how your night. You need to talk about things. I would advise that in the beginning, when you don't know this person well, please be very careful about details you share. You can say things about yourself without sharing incriminating details. You can say things about yourself that can foster a deep relationship without saying something that would put you in trouble in the future, especially when you don't know this person well. But the only way to get out of having superficial relationships, or what people call fake friends that you can't share your joys and sorrows with, is to actually be vulnerable. This is how to make genuine connections. This is how to connect well with people. If you're not vulnerable, you are going to be missing out on depth in your friendship. So this is something for you to consider. Participate in activities. When you're in a place, find out what you can do, right? You're in church, you're in a service unit, work, you're in a book club, participate. It's not enough to just put yourself online. It's not enough to just go for conferences. Participate. People know the people that, you know, are engaged in what is going on. And it's easier for you to, drag people onto your radar and then strike up conversations that can lead to budding friendships. Initial conversations, I know it's difficult and I know that some of us have social anxiety. Take it easy. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Maybe once a week, find one person you can talk to. And I will say, some of these efforts are not going to culminate in lasting friendships. Yeah. But casting your net far and wide is going to guarantee you finding good friendships that are not doing that. And so while some of these interactions might not pan out well, the experience you get is going to make you know, okay, so this kind of person I am and this kind of friend I need. So these are the kind of people I'm looking for. And you're able to identify those things much quicker. It would take a time. It would take time for you to build a village. It will take effort. Some of my friends now that I'm enjoying now are friendships that took us months to get to. It was conversations here. Hi, hi, hi. Oh, I love your dress. Oh, I love your smile. And then we start talking about something or something random. We have a random conversation one time and then that sparks interest. But it doesn't culminate into like an actual friendship until you realize that those little drops and little conversations that you've been having have fostered something beautiful to forge between the two of you or as many are in your friendship group. So please give yourself time. Be gracious to yourself. It's okay to say, oh, you know what, I'm taking a break because I've had friendship breakups and I just want to charge and be by myself. But I don't want you to stay there for too long. I'm also going to talk about how you can be a good friend because many times people want to enjoy friendships, but they don't know that it requires them to give of themselves as well. And so one way is effective communication. See, if you know me, you know that I'm an advocate for communicating constantly, effectively, over explaining, saying things that you mean will save you a lot. A lot of times people have resentment in their hearts because of something that wasn't clarified. And that's something that communication just helps you. In your communication, be transparent, be honest, be open, but be careful. Be careful as well. But see, over communicating is going to save you than under communicating. Communicating, these are my expectations. These are the things that I like you to do. These are the things, this is the way I am. Maybe this is something I'm working on. This is something I'd like you to be patient with me on. Things like that. Or, oh, something happened and I didn't like it. Rather than keeping it to yourself, you bring it up. Communicating is going to save you a lot of heartache. And communicating it's not just talking, it's actively listening to people as well. When people are talking to you, are you listening just to respond? Or are you listening like in a way that shows, oh, I understand what you just said. And I did not just take it in because I want to throw words back at you. Another thing is you have to be willing to adapt. You have to be able to see adaptability. I think it's one of the new Mr. Ninja what's that called? Characteristics of a human being, right? Adaptability. As human beings, we have the ability to adapt because I know that this podcast is for young people and many of us are in different stages of our life. Some are really young and maybe in university, just entering, about to graduate or doing a master's program. Some people are actively working 9 to 5 or running their own business or businesses. Some people are married. Some people are married with a kids, while still having to do all these other things that the rest of us are doing. And That means that different phases will call for you to be a different person to your friend. If your friend is single, right, they might need a lot more support than they would when they're in a relationship. Your friend is wedding planning. There is a way you need to show up for that friend. If they are married and they just had children, there's like your friendship is going to take a different turn. Being aware and expectant that these things will happen will cause you to know the kind of friend that your friend needs you to be. Joining this with communicating as well, like, oh, talking about like, okay, so this is going on, is there anything you need me to do? Like, what do you think would change? How do you think we should manage these expectations and these changes? Adapting is going to really save you. Your friend was in Nigeria, they live very close to your house. Now they're in the UK or in the US or Canada or somewhere else. And then it's a different time zone. It's going to take a newness to come out of your friendship so that that friendship can last. The reason why some married people complain that, oh, when I got married, all my single friends suddenly just distance themselves from me is because people don't always know how to handle changes. And rightfully, sometimes, like, these are things that we don't talk about. Say, for example, you get married, your single friend has more time than you have, right? Because now you have a wife or a husband that, requires your time. Certain hours you're going to be doing praise and worship. Nobody knows when, nobody knows how it's going to go on. And this is still adding to, like, you're still adding your other responsibilities, right? Single people might just be like, oh, okay, I don't know, right? I don't know how to navigate this. I think that as much as the single people have a place, they have a part to play and they have like a place in the blame to receive. My people also, like if you're the one who got married, you need to also know how to still let your friends know, like, hey, I'm still here. Oh, please let this ring and wedding ceremony we have done not just mean that you think that's the end to our friendship. So yeah. Also, understanding. Understanding is something that would help you. Being understanding of where you are, or where your friend is, and how certain things will shake up your friendships. Even while you want to hold them accountable, you still understand that, okay, I understand that currently work is more stressful for you. Understand that you're grieving or you're going through a heartbreak or finances are not just the best for you and things like this. That's something that's going to really help you be a standout friend. Being supportive of whatever your friends are doing is another way to be a good friend. If your friend has an event, if you can attend, please show up. Um, I encourage my friends all the time, spend time with your friends, spend time with people that you love, spend time with family. Yes, it's great to give money, but sometimes beyond monetary gifts, your presence is something that you can't put a price on that means a lot to your friends. So please support people in however way they want to be supported that is within your capacity to give. Love people like they need to be loved. We talk about love languages and many times we think about it in terms of romantic relationships. But do you know your friend's love language or the languages they like to be loved in? That's a good way to be a good friend. You have a friend that likes words of affirmation. Affirm them, compliment them as often as you can. You have someone that likes quality time. If you cannot block out time for you guys to see physically, then do calls, video calls, voice calls, text, voice notes, all these things. Schedule calls if you need to, so that you guys are just in constant communication. If this is something that is very important to your friend, and I dare say it's something that should be important to all friendships, constant communication. Also, you have to be willing to compromise within reason. Don't compromise and shift against your values. Don't compromise and do something that is against what you believe in. But it cannot be your way or high water every single time. It cannot be that, oh, this is how I am. Oh, hey, you've not heard. This is how I am. I don't know how to be anywhere else. No, can't do that. In a friendship, it's you and this other person or other people. You cannot be the only one you are not the only stakeholder. And because you're not the only stakeholder, it means that you have to consider other people as well. So you have to accommodate other people's preferences. How does your friend like to be treated? How do you like to be treated? Okay, what's the middle ground? That's a compromise. Please, I know I talked about vulnerability, but I have to say it again. Remove your mask. There's so much that's happening now where it feels like people are competing. People are just trying to, if you don't come, I won't call you. If you don't text me, I won't text you. If you don't, see, I'm telling you, I've done it before, and it's not the best way to live. It's not the best way to live at all. So please be true. And I'll tell you this thing. It doesn't make sense to me that you get something by being fake, or you get something by cosplaying as something that you are really not. If you are the kind of person that is very goofy, trust me, you'll find your people. If you're the kind of person that is very goofy, it doesn't make sense to now say, oh, well, I want people to take me serious. I don't want them to know that I like to play and I will now be serious. And then your friends, you now go and trust serious people. Then they'll now say, I don't like, what's the people that is so goofy and this, I don't like them. No, you cannot, you're stuck. You cannot express your true self. No, that anything that requires you to change yourself in a way that you lose your element, you lose your true essence, is not meant for you. So you don't want to get friendships, if you don't want to get relations of any kind by, being what you are not. Even when you're getting a job, I know that many times you have to people have to embellish your CVs or pad things up. Just me. If you go and package yourself to the point where you have overpackaged, and the packaging and the contents are two very different things, it would affect you, it will show up. You cannot hide it, right? And so I want you to know that you have to show your true self to attract good friends. And it's another problem. This is another thing. This is another table that I want to shake. Your friends don't have to be aesthetically pleasing to others. Your friendships don't have to be Instagrammable for you to enjoy them. What's even that? What do you even mean by, I see some things and I hear some things and I'm appalled. You shouldn't be looking for friends that, okay, only for the gram. My dear, that is not the way to live, okay? Please drop that idea of perfection. You are not perfect. You're going to see someone that's not perfect as well. But two imperfect people or more can bring out something that's very beautiful in form of friendship. Please drop that urge to have social media acceptable friends, or you're judging your friends based on social media standards. Please, this is 2025. Let's not do that, okay? Thank you very much. A lot of times we see content creators or people that have friends, and then many of us admire them. And people have this thing where you get into a church, you get into a space, and there's a clique I want to join. It's always so fascinating to me when I hear that. But it's not something that makes sense to me that you want to join a clique. I think of when I joined my unit in church and I knew that there were existing friendships that I sounded just deeply admired. But truth be told, there wasn't really anything in me that wanted to join those cliques. Instead, I was content in finding my own people and finding my own friends. And now I can say that I have my own friends in church. I have my own friends in different places that I'm in. And that's something I want you to emulate. I tell, some of the people that join the unit, I'm like, see, this unit is an amazing place to be in. Everywhere where people are, maybe someone's going to offend you, but trust me, if you want to find amazing people, you're going to find them here. But don't be deterred by people who already have their friends and feel like, you want to join them. No, make your own friends. Find find your own peers. My peers, maybe people that are joining it as you are or something. Just find a way to, make your own friends instead of itching to get into friendship groups. It doesn't end well, but it doesn't end well for people like that. And I don't want you to fall in that trap. So yes, before we go, I know that a lot of times people want, like I've already talked about how to be a good friend, but if you're not careful too, you will fall prey to bad friendships. And that's not God's will for you. I know a lot of people are very hesitant to have friends now as adults because you're thinking, well, I've had friendship breakups. See, friendship breakups are not cute. I know that breakfast is painful and, it has landed some people in the hospital. But let me tell you something. Friendship breakups to me are even more painful than, romantic relationships crashing. But one way to identify a bad friendship is a friendship where there is no reciprocity. You're the only one doing everything. You're the one who's doing the calling, you're the one who's in texting, you're the one who's in the checking up on, you're the one who's in the gifting, you're the one who's in everything. And your friend doesn't, you ask about your friend. Sorry, I, I don't know why my throat is still, I don't know. But yeah, I'm so sorry if you hear me clear my throat. I know that I'm apologizing really late, but yeah, I just wanted to say that. If you're the one who is doing the most of everything, that's a good place to take a step back and evaluate your friendship. I'm not going to advise you to cut off. I'm not going to advise you to cut people off because I believe very strongly in giving people grace. And so what I would advise you to do is call this friend and say, hey, I kind of noticed that, a lot of the responsibility of this falls on me. And while I love doing that, I don't want to carry that particular weight alone. I'd like you to pull your weight. This is how I would like you to show up for me as well. Give them actionable points and plans and, have a time frame, a long time frame, like, well, over the course of these next few months, I'm going to see how well you improve, and you don't get to do that just once and then say, okay, I talked. No, it's something that you have to do continuously. Many times we read relationship books and, or listen to sermons and they're like, oh, you forgive husbands and wife for you to be married that long, you forgive. It's the same thing in friendships. You have to forgive. But I will tell you that it gets to a point where you might need to block access for certain people simply because it has become a parasitic relationship. Friendship should be mutually beneficial. One person shouldn't be gaining the most and one person shouldn't be spending the most. And by spending, I don't just even mean money. I mean spending of yourself, of your time, of every single thing that is required to keep a friendship. You don't want to be with a friend that is jealous of the other friends. This is very dicey, especially if you're friends with someone that kind of struggles to keep friends. They struggle to make friends, but then you, on the other hand, are someone who knows how to balance friendships. I would advise that if you're in this situation, one thing to do is, encourage them to make their own friends, give them tips, push them. Okay, we are going to this place. Okay, when you come back, I want you to tell me that you met somebody that you're talking to. Cheer them on when they make new friends and let them know that it is okay to have other friendships. I don't know that it is a great place to be in. I'm trying to think of if I have experienced this and nothing really comes to mind. But I'm somebody who has learned to sort of have friends in different places. So some of my friends don't even know each other. My friends did a surprise birthday party for me this year. And I was shocked when I saw someone because like she's my friend, my very good friend, but she doesn't know these other people. And then I realized that my flatmate had done some digging and stealing of numbers and stuff. Yeah, so I am somebody who has friends in different places a lot. Yes, you might hear me talk about some of my other friends. Some of my friends are friends that are like, I call my everyday friends, where I talk to them on a weekly basis. They know about every single thing about my life. But I very much believe in having friendships that where it's like, oh well, what we talk about is maybe financial. Some of what we this with other person maybe is like my spiritual life and our spiritual lives. And that's like a common factor. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think that yeah, I just realized I should have talked about this. I think that it is very okay to have a friend where you guys don't share a lot of details with your life. So, for example, you're a new mom or a new wife or husband or a new dad. Is gender equality here. Some of your friends, your everyday friends, might not really understand what it means to be in this space that you're in. So you might need to find new friends that, they understand what it is like to be newly married. Maybe some of your other friends have been married for a while and they've kind of forgotten how difficult it is to navigate the newlywed and all of those things, or being a new parent. This would now mean that you would be friends with some people where the bulk of what you talk about is your struggles, your joys, and all those things. Please ignore the sound. But yes, it's very okay to have friends that are seasonal. This is something I should have mentioned as well. It's very okay to have friends that just for a few years, a few months, a particular season of your life. And, those friendships sort of come to an end doesn't always mean that that person's a toxic person or you're the toxic person. It just means that things have run their course. It is okay. It is perfectly fine to be in a place where it's like, oh, I no longer need to be there for this person, or this person and I no longer need to be friends. Or if we're going to be friends, going to have to evaluate how our friendship looks like going forward, because that season is over. And when friendships end, I don't want to say friendship breakups because I would like to think that friendship breakups are the sad ones, but sometimes friendships come to an end. It shouldn't always be something bad. It shouldn't always end on a bad note. Sometimes you relocate, you lose friends, you leave school, especially if you're schooled in a different city from where you're currently working in or where your parents live. And so when you leave these places, it's very difficult to keep up communication and things just fizzle out. It doesn't mean that you're not appreciative of what this person has been to you, but it just means that it's kind of run its course and it's fine. It's very okay. Not all friendships have the ability to transcend between seasons, and that's fine. But yes, back to what I was saying. You don't want to be with a friend that is jealous of your other friends. A friend that wants to police how you spend time with other people. A friend that wants you to be their end all and be all, like their only friend, and you can't know. That's not a healthy friendship. Also, you don't want to be with someone that doesn't give you grace to make mistakes. You don't want to be with someone that, see, you are going to, oh, I'm going to annoy your friends, though. Let me tell you, like, yes, the friends you see, you're going to annoy them, and they're going to annoy you too. You guys are going to have seasons where communication is a bit tense because you are upset with each other, right? You're going to have times where things are not flowing as smoothly as they've previously done. It does not mean that it's a bad thing, But what helps friendships grow and last long is the ability to say, oh yeah, it's okay. Let's talk about this thing. I forgive you. I give you grace. Understanding that making mistakes is very inherently human and it's something that's always going to happen in relationships between two people. So you're going to need to have friends that give you grace as much as you give them. Like you're going to need to give people grace, And you're going to need to be with people that give you grace. You're going to need people that say, okay, this is an issue. Let's communicate. Let's talk about this. Let's sort this out. Okay, you didn't do this for me, and I'm upset about it. Let me hear why. And then when you tell them, and you have, cogent reason why that happened, they're like, oh, okay. I mean, I still feel sad that you didn't do that thing for me, but it makes it easier now to bear. I just want to say that ultimately friendships are about genuine connections that we need to go through life. You need friends to help you through life. Uh, Jesus is our example, and we see that he had the 12 disciples, but within the 12, he had the three. And within the three, he had the one, according to John, the disciple whom the Lord loved. Who I think might have been very biased. But we see Jesus having friends. We see him, had been friends with Lazarus. We see him being friends with other people. And that's something too. If God incarnate for that friendship was something important to have, how much more you? How much more you? God has made us to be relational beings, relating with him and relating with man. So the vertical relationship with God and the horizontal relationship with your fellow human beings. I don't want you to go through life thinking that you're an island or that you are, a self-made person, because community is very necessary for a healthy life. You don't want to carry burdens alone. You don't want to celebrate things alone. You don't want to go through life just, doing things that just screaming, alone. No. You want to be able to share in the joys. You want to be able to share in the joys of other people. You want to be able to have these people share your joys. You want to be able to cry with people and have them cry with you. You want to be able to just have someone that you can just sit with and then you are fine in the silence and it's okay. All right. So I hope that this episode has been very eye-opening for you. If you have anyone who comes to mind that you think would need this episode, please share this episode with them so they can listen to it. Thank you so much. And as usual, we're going to pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much. Thank you because you've given us the ability to be good friends. You've given us the ability to embrace people and bring them into our lives. People that were not bound to us by blood, but by ties of love and friendship. Thank you because we have all the tools that we need to make friends. We have boldness to talk to people. We have the discipline to show up for people. We have the grace to do all that we need to do to be a villager in our village. Thank you because, you order our steps to find the right friends, find the right people, that the people that are connected to us, we will not miss these connections in the name of Jesus. I know that a lot of what you want us to do, a lot of what you want to do for us will be done through people. And I pray, oh Lord, that you would give us the insights to identify the people that we should be friends with. We will not call our enemies our friends and will not call our friends our enemies. In the name of Jesus, our eyes are open, our minds are alert, and we have the heart to love and receive love in a friendship capacity. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. As always, please follow this podcast, like this episode, share it on social media, and share your thoughts online using the hashtag Salt and Light Diaries Pod. Thank you so much. And I'll be seeing you at the next episode. Bye.